Amazon Web Services is a leading cloud service provider in the public cloud domain. It offers 250 plus services in 245 plus different regions and countries. So in order to access these many services and meet the volume of people who are trying to access these services, we need a management console that is easy to use and easy to manage. Great Learning brings you this video where we are going to discuss AWS Management Console in detail. For starters, let me quickly introduce Amazon Web Services to you people. There might be quite a few of you who do not know what Amazon Web Services AWS is. It is a cloud service provider which is a leader in terms of public cloud market share. It offers services in the domains like computation, storage, management, networking, and it provides on-demand services. That means consumers can demand for a particular set of services when you talk about application hosting and building. And this cloud vendor will provide those services to those people. You can rent these services and access these services from different parts of the world using internet, and you do not have to worry about maintaining and monitoring this platform or this cloud vendor services. Now that we know what Amazon Web Services is, let's quickly jump into the console and understand how AWS Management Console works. So this is the entry point to our AWS Management Console. If you are new to Amazon Web Services and new to AWS console, let me tell you that AWS offers a free tier. That means for people who are just starting can actually go ahead and create an account and start using these cloud computing services free of cost. That is what is known as AWS free tier. So if you do not know how to create an account here, just search for Amazon Management Console or AWS Management Console and you would be redirected to this page. Then you have to go ahead and say sign up. Since I already have an account, it is saying sign into the console. But for you, you would get an option of create a free tier account or sign up. So you have to go ahead and sign up here. It would ask you for your credit card details, debit card details. Make sure you enter those. The reason AWS asks you for these details is it wants to verify that you are a legit user with a legit bank account. Now, it won't charge you for using the services it offers. The reason we have free tier is so that you can actually go ahead and start practicing AWS. So there would be certain cap on the services that you use. And as long as you use those services under those caps, under those limits, you won't be charged by AWS. AWS also triggers in alarms for you people to note that you've extended a particular usage limit of a particular service. So you can set in those alarms as well. So you won't be charged even if you give in your credit card or debit card details. So if you do not have an account, I would suggest that go ahead and just create an account on Amazon Web Services Management Console, and it's called as AWS free tier. Now that all the information is out of the way, let's quickly sign into the console. As I've already mentioned, I have an account here. So there you go. I'm gonna sign in and enter my password in quickly. And just like that, we have signed into our Amazon Web Services Management Console. Now in this console, you have quite a few options here. So as I've mentioned, if you are beginner, this is one of the best places to start. You see, if you scroll down here, you would be having various options, right? AWS gives you quite a lot of documentation and quite a lot of videos that tell you how to get started with some of these services. Now, as I mentioned, the number of services are plenty, and we are going to talk about this interface in detail. But you see, there are certain options here for you. Okay, you can create virtual machines. You can actually go ahead and build applications. So these are tutorials, and even duration, as in how much time would you be needing to do these things is given here, right? Say for example, with Amazon Web Services, you can launch a virtual machine in just 2 to 3 minutes. You can even actually go ahead and host a web app using Elastic Beanstalk, which is a PaaS offering or platform as a service offering, in 6 minutes. See, you can build virtual servers. You can actually go ahead and do quite a few things. You see, learn how to build some of these things. These could be in little more detail. That is why you have more tutorials, more demos here. Okay. So make sure you create an account and access these videos, these tutorials if this interests you. Now, coming back to the console, you see this is how the interface looks like. Now, First and foremost, what you see here is you have some of those services that I have recently opened or used. Whether you talk about SageMaker, Poly, S3, Recognition, Comprehend. Now these are some of the services which are more into machine learning, and S3 is a storage service. The reason you see them here is I had recently opened them and it comes under suggestions if I want to actually go ahead and use them again. So this basically helps in easy access. You see, if I click on all services, all of them are shown here. Okay. There are other ways to access your services. One, you can search for a particular service here. Say for example, if you are looking for an S3 service, you can say S3 here, right? And the service details would be here. Similarly, if you look for EC2, EC2 should be shown here, right? So it makes the process of knowing or basically exploring those services that you know easy. Let's assume that you do not know what services are there on your plate. You want to take a look at all the services. You can click on services directly and you would be taken to a different console again. Okay. Here too you have the history of services that you've explored. And here the services are classified under different domains for you to have an easy access. Say for example, all the computation services have been categorized under the compute domain. Similarly, storage services under the storage domain. And as I've mentioned, AWS offers plenty of services. You see, if you scroll down, you'll get this option where you see there's so many services that AWS offers, and you can access these services using this management console. Now, the whole purpose of having a management console is it makes it easy for people who do not know to program or basically access some of the resources using programming. So for people who are not good with the APIs and who are not good with the SDKs, they can actually go ahead and use this touch, pick and drop kind of an interface where it is easier for you to access all these services, right? So you can just click on these services and you would be redirected to those services as well. We'll see that as well. But meanwhile, let's discuss the other bits on the screen that we have. So the next tab or the next option that you see on the screen is resource group. Now for people who do not know what a resource group is nothing but a collection of resources that supports a particular entity. Say for example, you are launching a virtual machine. Now to launch a virtual machine, you'd be needing a security group. You might need a network under which it operates, some storage that you're connecting to it. So all these resources fall under a resource group, and you can have a separate resource group for your different resources or for your entities. Now here you have an option of creating a resource group and accessing your saved resource groups. Okay. Next to it is an option of pinning. Say for example, you feel that these options are not good enough for you. You have a particular service that you want to access again and again. And just like we pin our resources on our operating system, right? Say for example, here there are certain options that I can pin on my taskbar, right? So instead of actually going ahead and pinning it or accessing these resources through the console, you can just pin it here. Say I'm looking for a particular service, let's say S3 again. Now since S3 is there on my tongue, I'm using it again and again. So I just click on that pin and then select this S3. Okay, I drag and drop it here, and just like that the resource is pinned. So I can click here and access this resource. Let's assume that I am done using this resource and now I feel that I do not need it here. I want it to be back into the services pool, or maybe I want to replace it with some other service. What I do is I click on pin again and I just drop this thing back here. And there you go. Just like that, I have also unpinned the resource. So it makes it easy for you to access these resources. What we also saw was the resources arranged under a particular group, right? Similarly, I can also ensure that I can arrange these resources alphabetically. Say for example, if I know the name of the resource and I want to look it in this manner, maybe I can search it in this manner as well. So if I click on this AZ option, I can access these resources from here. Okay. So this is how you make it easier for yourself to access these resources. Now here you get all the notifications. Okay. If there are some issues, some schedule changes and other notifications that you need to look into, all those would be available here for your access. Now, this is where your account details come in. Whether you talk about clicking on it and looking at your account details. There you go. All the information about your account will come in here. Okay. So you can take a look at that as well. Maybe you can come here, look for the organization. Let's assume that you have an industry account or a company's account, an enterprise account, where multiple users are using it. So all those users will fall under a particular organization. Now this is a personal account, so it won't basically have an organization there. But if you have one, you can put forth, or basically you can have it there. So there would be a structure there and you would be an IAM user under it. So what are your service quotas? What is your billing dashboard? What are the orders and invoices that you need to pay? And your security credentials. All the information would be available here. Again, as I mentioned, it serves in like 245 plus countries in different regions. So you have an option of choosing these regions here and here. Now certain services are global in nature. That means you can access those services globally, but in some cases you might want to define a particular region for those services, those resources. So in that case, you can either pre-select it here, or even when you launch those services, you can actually go ahead and access or basically assign a particular region to that resource once you start creating that resource. So this thing lets you know in which region are you based currently, or you're operating from rather. Okay. Say for example, I select this. That means by default, I'm operating from this particular region. For some reason, it's not getting selected. I think it will now. There you go. So I'm in Ohio right now. Okay. So if I create resources and let everything be by default, it should be in Ohio region. Okay. So that is how it works. Apart from that, you have support center, where you have documentation, training, other resources that you need to read. You have certain forums now. AWS has a wider and a bigger pool of forum. That means there's so much documentation, so much information there. You have your support center where you can put forth your queries if there are any concerns and stuff like that. So this is how the console looks like in a nutshell. You can actually go ahead and take a look at different services to suit your needs, right? Maybe you can launch a couple of services and see how do these services work. But as far as the console is concerned, you see, this is how the console looks like. And if you just click on any of the services, they might have a separate console concerning that particular service. Okay. So this brings us to the end of this video on AWS Management Console. We've understood what AWS free tier account is and how to create one. We've discussed how AWS Management Console works, how it looks like, what are the options you have, and what are the minor changes or easy accesses you can do using this particular console. Meanwhile, I would like to inform you that Great Learning has come up with Great Learning Academy initiative, where there are 80 plus free courses that you can register to. And on completion of those courses, you'll be getting a certification that you can add to your LinkedIn profile, or you can add it to your resume. We hope you liked this video. Thank you.